Hi, I'm Lorna. Last year I sold my house and fulfilled my lifelong dream of moving on to a narrowboat. Now I want you to join me as I make more of my dreams come true. Hopefully I don't sink along the way. There'll be laughter, tears, and cute cat videos. This is 30 Things to Do Before I'm 30.
Hi guys, I hope you're good. I'm here at New Romney Station on the Romney, Hythe and Dymchurch railway. It's a narrow gauge railway which runs from Dungeness in Kent all the way to Hythe. Let's have a look at what I got up to today.
We arrived at a rainy Dungeness with just enough time to purchase our tickets and grab a quick cuppa before boarding the train. And when it pulled into the station, I couldn't believe my eyes. It was so small. It looked like a toy, like one of those trains that you see riding around the zoo. But actually, until quite recently, it was actually used as a regular commuter train. And the sound of the steam and the smell as we were pulling out of the station was just fantastic. It took me right back to my childhood. The journey from Dungeness to Hythe takes just over an hour and a half, and it covers 13.5 miles of track. You can see just there the Dungeness power station, which I'll tell you a bit more about in another video, and a couple of train spotters there, and who can blame them? Construction of the railway was relatively simple because the shingle that you see here acts as a natural ballast, meaning that they didn't have to get materials in from outside. The railway is celebrating its 90th anniversary this year. It was opened in 1927 by Captain John Edwards Cresgrave Howie, an ex-racing car driver who dreamt up the idea with a friend of his who had a model railway in his own back garden. But unfortunately, the friend died in a racing accident and didn't survive to see his dream fulfilled. The railway has a fleet of 11 steam and 2 diesel engines which run on 15-inch narrow gauge, and although it looks like a toy, it is a fully operational permanent way, coming under the same rules and regulations as any other railway. There's a maximum line speed of 25 miles an hour, but to be honest, it felt like we were going so much faster than that. So I dread to think what it would have been like if we'd been in one of the open summer carriages. I'll be perfectly honest with you, for the first few miles, there's not much to see, apart from back gardens and this lovely caravan park, although it was really sweet because a lot of the people in the back gardens did wave to the train as it was coming past. And even without lots of things to see, it was still a fantastic experience. Just the smell and the noise of the steam and being in that tiny little old carriage, that was fantastic just by itself. And here we are just pulling into New Romney Station, where the train had a short layover, giving us a chance to admire some of the other carriages and some of the other steam engines, including the lovely Dr. Sin. We were soon back on our way, and shortly you're going to see a fantastic sight which is just past the station on the left-hand side, and that's the Royal Military Canal. It's 28 miles long, running from Seabrook to Hastings. It was originally built to protect the Romney Marsh from French invasion. Construction began in 1804, but by a year later, only 6 miles had been built. It was eventually completed in 1809 at a cost of £234,000. And in addition to the canal, a number of Martello towers were also built, and 3 of those survive today. Although the canal never saw military action, it was used to control smuggling, and eventually was abandoned in 1877. It was once again taken under military control during the Second World War by the 31st Independent Brigade Group. Today it attracts many visitors, especially of the non-human variety, as the site passes through many sites of special scientific interest, and is home to many important fish, kingfishers, dragonflies, and marsh frogs. So here we are, we've finally reached the end of the line at Hythe, where we will stay for a few minutes before heading back to New Romney. The railway carries 150,000 passengers each year, and there used to be loads more stations, but lots of those closed when it ceased to be a commuter service. And actually, between 1977 and 2015, it used to operate as a school train, but that service stopped with decline in passenger numbers. The railway is run by a mixture of permanent staff and a huge number of volunteers, but everybody is trained to a high standard and holds relevant safety critical licences for the roles that they're carrying out. The staff who I spoke to were telling us stories about volunteers who come from as far away as the Netherlands to volunteer on the railway, and it's clear to see that everybody really loves what they're doing. Although they did also share with me that the railway is operating at a profit, so it would be nice to see some of that go into employing more permanent staff, as well as preserving this fantastic piece of heritage. Now the engine is reversing back towards the turntable, which will turn it around and have it ready for the return trip. I didn't film it going on the turntable because I needed to go for a wee. But this is what it looks like. Overall, the railway has a fantastic safety record, but it is worth pointing out a few notable incidents, including a runaway engine that resulted in a derailment, the death of a maintenance worker, and 2 fatalities at level crossings, which have now resulted in the installation of barriers rather than just red lights. On the way back to New Romney, the train stalled here for a good few minutes, but we eventually made it back. We had a couple of hours at New Romney before our next train, so we had something to eat and had a look around the model railway exhibition, which was quite interesting. Lots of Thomas the Tank Engine and some interesting badges here, but my favourite train, Cock of the North, and this one here that you got to play with yourself. To be honest, 2 hours was far too long to stay there, and I love a train. Now this is a train to love. Actually, it's a model of an armoured train that used to run on the line during the Second World War, and rumour has it that it actually shot down some Germans. The military needed to defend from potential invasion of the south coast, so they saw on the map that there was a railway there and decided to take it over and make an armoured train. Unfortunately, they didn't check that it was a narrow gauge, but to save face, they went ahead with their plan anyway. The train was also used in the later abandoned Pluto operation, which stood for Pipeline Under the Ocean. During that, they actually damaged a big section of the track, so today it just runs as single track. After the war, the train was returned and the line reopened in sections. The section from Hythe to New Romney was reopened in 1947 by none other than Laurel and Hardy. So here we are back at Dungeness, tired after a fantastic day.
I hope you enjoyed that. If you've got any interesting railway stories to share, please let me know in the comments below. I make new videos once a week, so if you enjoyed this, then please subscribe, and I'll see you again soon. Thanks for watching. Bye!